Hellfire is about justice. Hellfire, the concept of hellfire is purification. The concept of hellfire is, if Allah is going to have intense mercy, and we know Allah is Ar-Rahman, we also know Allah is Al-Adl, the one who is the most just. So hellfire is an embodiment of the justice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The people who end up in hellfire, it's not because, A'udhu Billah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us from ever having this, but because Allah is an angry God or anything like that. It's because it's about enacting ultimate justice. And actually the statements that are found in hellfire, the conversations that are found in the Quran about hellfire, really paint Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a very hopeful light. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who says in the Quran, يُرِيدَ اللَّهُ لِيُبَيِّنَ لَكُمْ وَيَهْدِيَكُمْ سُنَنَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ وَيَتُوبَ عَلَيْكُمْ. Allah wants just a couple of things from you. Allah wants يُرِيدَ اللَّهُ لِيُبَيِّنَ لَكُمْ, to make things clear for you. Why is the description of hellfire being given? So that you have the clear option to make the decision that you are going to make. You have a clear set option. There's Jannah in front of you and there's Jahannam in front of you. Make your choice. It's clear. يَهْدِيَكُمْ سُنَنَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ, so that you can be guided. The reason I present hellfire and the reason I present Jannah is for your benefit. You're not supposed to torture yourselves over the descriptions of the hellfire. It's supposed to help you make a much more clear and informed decision so that you can be guided. وَيَتُوبَ عَلَيْكُمْ. And the last part of it is what Allah wants for you even more. This will be reiterated even more in the next ayah. But وَيَتُوبَ عَلَيْكُمْ. And Allah wants you to say يَتُوبَ عَلَيْكُمْ, to return back to Him. No matter what you've done, you're not in the situation of the people of hellfire. Allah says to you, ujibu, at this moment. I answer you when you call to me. So يَتُوبَ عَلَيْكُمْ. Go back to Him. Go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The door is open. The door is open. The door is going to keep being open. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues in the next ayah, وَاللَّهُ يُرِيدُ أَن يَتُوبَ عَلَيْكُمْ. And actually Allah, if the last statement, I'm not going to get too grammatical here, but the last statement was, wants Allah for you. This time it's Allah wants for you. It's the idea of ism fa'il and jumla fa'aliyah and jumla ismiyah. I'm not going to get into the technicalities of it, but the more intense way of saying, if there's only one thing Allah wants for you, maybe you don't like the three things. Maybe you didn't like the idea of clear verses, of guidance, and returning to Allah. If you only take one from that, وَاللَّهُ يُرِيدُ أَن يَتُوبَ عَلَيْكُمْ. Allah wants to guide you. At the end of the day, Allah wants you to come back to Him. يَتُوبَ عَلَيْكُمْ. Allah wants you to just return back to Him. That's it. That's it. If you didn't like any of those descriptions, those bayyinat or that hidayah, Allah just wants you to return to Him. Just return to Him. وَيُرِيدُ الَّذِينَ يَتَّبِعُونَ الشَّهَوَاتَ أَن تَمِيلُ مَيْلًا عَظِيمًا. And there's other people that all they want for you is not to return to Allah. All they want for you is to fulfill your vain desires. Stay away from that component. وَاللَّهُ يُرِيدُ أَن يُخَفِّفَ عَنْكُمْ خُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. And Allah wants خُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. And Allah wants for you خُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. Allah wants أَن يُخَفِّفَ عَنْكُم. He wants to lighten for you your load. He knows you're carrying a lot of things. He wants to just lighten that for you. Because He knows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who made you. خُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ. He made you. He made you in a state that is ضعيف. He made you in a state that has something else you need to hold on to. So return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's who you're going to hold on to. That's when all of these other descriptions are going to make sense to you. Just return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what He wants more than anything else. And that's what we have the opportunity to do. Conversations around hellfire are all about purification. Conversations around hellfire are all about justice. Conversations about hellfire are all about motivating us to return back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's what we take away from them. We don't get disappointed. We don't make false assumptions about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We use these descriptions to motivate us to avoid things that are going to get us into the hellfire. We use these moments to understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ar-Rahman. That yes, even though there are all of these punishments that are there and that are possible, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ar-Rahman. We know, inshallah, we won't be amongst that. That's just there to motivate us. We're never going to have to experience it. All of these things are there so that when we think about, with the ayah that we recited, when we think about our families, my family might say something that I hate, but I can never imagine them burning. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get them out of it too. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get them out of this terrible description. That's what the descriptions of Jahannam are supposed to do. When I feel like I'm struggling, all I know is that I want to end up there. All I know is I want to save myself from that punishment. That'll get me out of it. And inshallah, that's supposed to lead us to a point where then we're going to start motivating ourselves next week to, well, Jannah is there. I'm not afraid of the hellfire as much as I even love, as much as I want Jannah. And then hopefully it'll get us to a point where I don't even want the pleasures of Jannah as much as I want to please Allah. There's this woman who's found in classical Islamic literature a lot, whose name is Rabia, and it's said that she carries with her a bucket of fire and a bucket of water, and it said that actually she says over and over again that I'll put out the hellfire with this, and I'll burn Jannah. Pull out the hellfire with water, and I'll burn Jannah with this fire. All I want is Allah. That's the only thing that motivates me to do whatever I do. That's the situation that you want to eventually arrive at. Descriptions of hellfire are given because people will respond to fear. Descriptions of Jannah are given because people will respond to hope. We're hoping to be people, inshallah, who want the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes, one of the most amazing things that will ever be done in Jannah. And actually the biggest punishment of hellfire isn't all of the fire, isn't all of the psychological torture, isn't all of this purification of the soul. That's not the biggest punishment of hellfire. When Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was asked to describe what's the worst thing that's going to happen in hell, he says, they're not going to get to see Allah. What's the worst thing that happens in hellfire? For Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, they won't get to see the face of Allah. He couldn't think of anything worse than that, because that's what motivated him, was I'm going to get to see the face of Allah. The one who I desired so much to be close to please, to understand. They're not going to get to see Allah's face. But we're hopeful that we're going to be, inshallah, people that get to see the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's what keeps us going. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us amongst those that truly recognize what is the purpose of the descriptions of hellfire, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us people that never lose hope in His infinite mercy, that when we hear descriptions of hellfire, all it does is it causes us to ask for refuge against the hellfire. That when we hear the descriptions of hellfire, it doesn't make us people who are arrogant and say this hellfire is for other people, but it causes us to fear, Ya Allah, and we say things like, Allahumma ajirna min an-nar, oh Allah, protect us all collectively from the punishment of the hellfire. We ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us people that understand the blessings of Jannah and why the descriptions of Jannah were given there, so that it motivates us to get there. And we ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, more than anything else, allow us to be people that when we please Allah, we please ourselves. So that when we keep working throughout our lives, that the pleasure of Allah is what actually motivates us. And the hope to see the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what truly drives us. And it allows us to experience Jannah, not only in the akhirah, but a little bit of taste of Jannah in this life as well. رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ وَتُبْ عَلَيْنَا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ التَّوَّابُ الرَّحِيمُ وَآخِرُ دَعْوَانَا أَنِ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ وَالصَّلَاةُ وَالسَّلَامُ عَلَى رَسُولِ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر آمين يا رب العالمين. And as usual, I like keeping at least a little bit of time for Q&A at the end. I know this was a pretty heavy topic, and I will say the idea of talking about just Jahannam without Jannah attached to it is questionable, and it's something I would ask that we readdress in case this is ever done in the future. But I hope and pray if there was anything of benefit, that we are able to benefit from it wholeheartedly, and if there was anything I said that was confusing or wrong, that you forgive me for it. It's from my own weaknesses and my inability to speak what is proper.
All right, so I just want to give Jazakallah khairan to our chaplain for a very motivating and awesome talk, inshallah. If you guys took notes, I saw a lot of you guys did, please post gems on the Facebook page.